Hey guys, welcome to Girls Chase. Today we're gonna have a classroom day. I got my fancy whiteboard and my new little studio, so let's get to work. Get 10s with 5 steps. Pretty simple, right? Your 10 out of 10, your favorite girl, your best girl, whatever that is. Everyone has different tastes, but your ideal girl, you can get her with these 5 steps. Now, this isn't a formula in the sense where you say this, then you say this, then you say this, and then magically she wants to marry you, have sex with you, get on her knees, etc. Right? It's not that simple. This is just a process. This is something that you follow, some general guidelines that are going to help keep you on the straight and narrow so that you can actually end up with her and you avoid making a lot of the mistakes that most guys make when they're dealing with their ideal girl. Because when you are with your ideal girl, your 10 out of 10, you're probably gonna fuck up because you want it so bad that you're gonna start to do dumb shit because your level of skill is outmatched by your thirst. And it's very natural because when you're around something you really want, you're gonna be desperate. And when you're desperate, you do really dumb things. And usually you do one of two extremes. You either show too much interest or not enough interest, actually. So a lot of these tips are just gonna keep you from going to either extreme. So let's get to it. First one, show high interest. Now that's probably going to surprise you. Why would I tell you to show high interest, right? When it comes to a 10, you think to yourself, this is pretty common logic actually. A lot of guys think this way. She's gorgeous, she probably knows it. Every guy probably tells her that all the time. She's getting all this validation, offline, online. I need to be different. I need to show that I'm not enchanted by her beauty, even though you fucking are, okay? And so I'm gonna show low interest, I'm gonna play it cool, and she's gonna see that I'm not desperate, and then she's gonna want me. In general, this really doesn't work out. First of all, normally she can see through it, okay? Very hard to fake when you're interested to not be interested, okay? So this is, first of all, gonna relieve a lot of tension, right? You're gonna be feeling like, oh my God, she's so, I don't know how to like, not look at her. Am I looking at her too much? Oh my God, you're gonna spend so much of your CPU power, right? Just on not showing too much interest. This is gonna relieve your mind of a lot of burden, a lot of load. So then you can put a lot of your thinking, which you do need to control yourself and discipline yourself in certain ways, right? We do it in every aspect of life. We act certain ways with our coworkers, with our boss, with our parents, with our children, with our friends, our lovers, right? There are certain roles that we play. And with this girl, you want to be her lover and then maybe her boyfriend or husband, and that's a certain role, and there are certain expectations that work better than others, right? So you are going to have to discipline your behavior in some way, but this I do not want you to discipline. Now, take that to the extreme and you could get into the realm of simping or being creepy where you're showing way more interest than she's showing, and you can, or come off desperate. Right? Simping, desperate, same thing, or creepy, where it's like way too much, okay? Like with anything else in the world, you can take it overboard. But when it comes to showing interest in a girl that you really have a lot of interest in, it relieves you of pressure, so you can put your mind other places. And secondly, interest usually gets interest back. In my experience, so this isn't theoretical, that's a lot of this dating advice gets too fucking philosophical, okay? Let's just keep it real. In my experience, when you find a girl really beautiful and you express that, it really goes well. Most of the time when I walk up to my personal 10 out of 10, I usually get interest back. Now, it doesn't mean I've slept with every 10 out of 10 I met or even gotten her phone number or gotten a date or anything like that. But I have gotten interest back, flirting most of the time when I'm very interested in a woman. Why? Because I don't hide my interest. That's not my game. I don't play too cool for school. There's been times and contexts and points in the seduction where I can kind of pull back, either because I need to, because I feel like I'm showing too much interest, or I feel like it's the right thing to do to kind of chill out a little bit. But for the most part, my technique, my style is to show a lot of interest. So I've never really run into the problem too much of not showing enough interest. And what I've seen and experienced is that when you walk up to her and you say, wow, you are gorgeous, and you let loose the full strength of your interest, she usually reciprocates because it comes off sincere and it comes off smooth because you're not trying to hold it tight. You're just letting it out. Okay? So for those reasons, show high interest with a 10 out of 10. Secondly, keep it simple. Okay? The game that you need for, we're just using arbitrary numbers here, right? A woman is not relegated to a 1 number on a 1 out of 10 scale, okay? We're just using it to understand levels of beauty from our subjective point of view. But the game that you need for 7 out of 10 is gonna be the same kind of game that you need for a 10 out of 10, right? It's not like with a 7 out of 10, you can just go, hey, what's up, wanna fuck? But then a 10 out of 10, you have to write a Shakespearean sonnet for her, okay? It's not how it works. What separates the success with a 7 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 is that the 7 out of 10 isn't as hot, so she has less choices, right? Well, because she has less choices, she's going to be a little bit less picky. Now, what does that mean? Well, generally, that means my choice of your looks and your personality, right? Whatever mix that is. You have the really good looking bad boy, or the really good looking shy guy, or the not so good looking but very charming, sexy bad boy. There's all these combinations, right? So she has somewhat of a propensity for a certain type of person, a certain archetype, but she's open to anyone who's really sexy and cool. But what she's more going to be judging you on is how many mistakes you make. So let's say with a 7 out of 10, you can make some mistakes. You can do some awkward jokes that really don't land. You could ask some stupid questions or reveal something about yourself that really doesn't mesh well with her. And she goes, okay, you know, that's not really my vibe, but you know what, that's fine. He's got X and Y going for him and this thing, and I really like that about him. So you know what, I'll let it slide. With a 10 out of 10, she's gonna have less room for mistakes. So 1 or 2 awkward pauses or things that she doesn't really jive with, and she'll go, you know what, Harry that I had a date with, you know, a couple weeks ago, I wasn't really interested in him and he was even better than this guy. You know, I'm not really feeling it with him, and that'll be the end of it. You might still have 20, 30 minutes on the date, or you just met her, right? And you don't even get the chance for the date. And she's like, yeah, compared to Harry or this other guy in my life, he's not on that level. Boom, you're already gone, right? Basically, your competition is out competing you. Harry might have these, he might be better looking, might be taller, whatever. But what's more foundational to her attraction, more integral, is that guy didn't make a lot of mistakes. Because there's probably a lot of guys in her life who were just as good looking or rich or whatever as Harry, but they made a bunch of mistakes, okay? And so in her mind, they just kind of got deleted. But he really nailed the conversation. He really got to know her. He might have looked really good that day, right? He took care of himself, but more importantly, he connected with her. And a connection, if you think about it like with electricity, is you take point A, point B, and you connect the energy. What disrupts the energy is a block, right? And if you make enough mistakes, the energy doesn't connect. So think of getting the 10 not as I have to do these super special things, I have to show her how cool I am. There is a certain threshold of coolness you need, okay? And if you're not traditionally good looking, like you weren't born good looking or you're not really tall, you can make up for it with personality, because luckily, right? Women are mostly attracted to personality. They are attracted to looks. I will not deny that, and anyone who does is lying to you and selling you snake oil. But you can overcome it with other things, like charm, like style, like having cool body language and facial expressions and being able to tell stories or being funny, okay? So think of it as making less mistakes, right? Which we'll get to here in a second, instead of being really awesome. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is keep it simple. Don't try too hard, right? So no DHV. This is an old pickup term. It means demonstration or display of high value, right? Showing off, right? Either subtly or explicitly letting her know how rich you are, how many girls you've been with, all the girls in your life. Even though that if there was any DHV you'll ever want to use, it's girls wanting you. But you know, generally it's not going to go well bragging, you know, how many girls you have, unless you're really, really smooth about it. How much money you've made, people that you've met who are famous, or any other accolade that you have, okay? Unless it's like literally a fact about you, okay? Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a rocket scientist. Well, okay, that's not really, it's technically a DHV, but it's just the truth, okay? Or what kind of car do you drive? Well, I drive a blank, you know, a Rolls Royce. Okay, well, it's just the truth, okay? And then teasing, actually. You should really not do a lot of teasing. Most guys do teasing wrong, right? In the old pickup terms, it was called negging. That was created by guys who saw that simping doesn't work. So, okay, we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna tease her. And then they had some success with it, and then they made it a fundamental part of their game. And if you've ever been around someone that you don't like, or you know, you're still kind of neutral on them, like let's say you just met a friend, you know, you have your friend and then he introduced you to another guy. Now you're really cool with your friend. You guys, you know, say, you know, you basically commit war crimes when you speak to each other, okay? That's very normal. But the second guy, he isn't really cool with you yet. But let's say you and your friend are like ribbing on each other, and then he joins in, and he's like, yeah, you're such a, to you, and he just met you. You're gonna go, we're not cool like that yet. We're not on that level. And the fact that you just tried to do that, it just feels off. And then you have a totally different opinion about this guy. Now, he may not have done it with ill intent, right? He was just trying to be cool, but it was a bad move, okay? So it was a mistake. The same thing will happen when you're on a date with a girl. You're gonna try and tease her. And most of the time, because you're thinking, oh, she's a 10 out of 10, I have to show her that I'm not like the other guys, I'm not afraid to tease her. Most of the time, if that's your intention, to like show that you're different, the teasing's not gonna come off really genuinely. The teasing that's gonna come off genuinely is the one that you sincerely feel about her, okay? Like, I don't know, she says something, she pronounces a word wrong, or she has a guilty pleasure of watching this kind of show, and you're like, really? You like that? And it's a spontaneous, sincere reaction that might come off better. But for the most part, most guys aren't gonna tease well, and it's either gonna come off like an insult, because you're gonna be like, oh, really, you like that? Even though in your head, you think that you're charismatic, you're fucking James Bond, but it just comes off robotic, and then it comes off like an insult because there's no personality behind it. Instead of, really, you like that? Where it's very clear that you're fucking joking. So just avoid it, all right? It's a very complicated way of saying just don't fucking show off and don't tease her. For the most part, it's a waste of time, okay? Once you get to know her better, you can do these things, okay? So minimize mistakes. I kind of already explained that. You wanna focus on not fucking up rather than being awesome. I know that sounds like pretty obvious, but I think a lot of guys don't understand that. Just don't fuck up rather than, oh, I have to be amazing because she's a 10 out of 10. How amazing you are is already kind of front loaded. When you meet her, like, it's kind of like, you know, I'm training for a fight or I'm training for the Olympics. Okay, probably shouldn't use training for a fight as a metaphor when we're talking about girls, okay? But you're training for the Olympics, okay? You've done all the conditioning you could, all the, you know, rehearsing, you know, you're set on the fucking rings or whatever. Once you get there, you can't really make any big adjustments, okay? So whoever you are at the moment that you meet this 10 out of 10, that's what you're working with. Your best bet is to just discipline your behavior rather than try to change your entire personality and your achievements and who you are and what you've accomplished and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so minimize mistakes, which is not showing off, not teasing, not showing too little interest, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now this is the big one, these two. These are more about helping you create a connection with her. Okay, this is about what actions to take, okay? So this will get her intrigued and build a connection, but then as with any girl, your goal is sex, right? Even if you want a relationship or you want to marry her, that's gonna involve sex, okay? So sex is foundational to any relationship. And what we advise for most guys is that you need to move fast with women. That means you try to sleep with her quickly, or you try to kiss her quickly at least, right? If you're really hardcore, you always try to think, I need to sleep with her on the first date. And that's a really good goal to have, because a lot of guys think that, oh, because she's gorgeous, you know, she's not that kind of girl, right? And you start putting her on a pedestal, and this is even a weird type of objectifying. It's like she's this pure angel who's on a pedestal because she's so beautiful, and then you fail to see her as a sexual being, when in fact she's just as sexual as any other girl, right? But a 7 out of 10, you're like, yeah, you know, I can just use her like a condom. But 10 out of 10, you know, she's special. you know, in your mind, if you're gonna objectify women, you should at least objectify all of them equally, right? It's just like being racist. If you're racist towards everybody, then you're really not racist, right? So same thing here, okay? So move fast with her. Now, what's interesting about this is, first of all, it's the truth, right? You're 10 out of 10 who you worship. You know, you kind of put this halo over her. You're very protective of her. No, you should be, in your mind, kind of seeing her like a whore, right? Because, I mean, she's obviously a human being who deserves respect. It's obvious, right? Hopefully we're on the same page there. But because you're idealizing her, what you have to do is create an opposite mentality that's going to help pull this idealization towards something more balanced and more realistic and objective, right? So when I say phrases like, you need to see her like a whore, some of you go like, oh my God, how could you do that? I'm just creating an extreme to pull in another extreme. This is you. I want you to pull you towards the middle, okay? So that's a mentality though. Now mentalities are very hard to change. That's why it's the last step, right? For you to be able to walk around and you see 10 out of 10s just very sexually, which most guys actually fail to do. You might think, oh, these guys are just objectifying women. Actually, for the most part, most guys fail to sexualize women. They can do it when they're in the room alone watching porn, that's, you know, or see her on Instagram, that's fine. But when it comes in person, like, men just act fucking weird. And the more I watch it, I'm like, you're not seeing her as just someone you want to fuck, which is the majority of what you actually want. But you gloss it up with a lot of, you know, self-deception mostly, but that's another topic. Anyways, I could have gone on a real fucking rant there, but that's not the point of this. Anyways, sexualizing her is the last step, okay? But the way that you get here, okay, you can actually get here with this, okay? Moving fast. Once you actually sleep with a girl who you find gorgeous, because 10 out of 10 is very vague, right? You know, you could have a 10 out of 10, then you fuck her and you're like, oh, well, she's not, you know, you have the haven't fucked her yet syndrome. Because after you fuck a girl, you find her a little bit less attractive, because that's just how it works. When you actually move fast, okay, it's really big actually, it's really deep. So first of all, because of your idealization, you're not seeing her as a sexual being, which she really is, right? She has her fantasies, she fingers herself, she wishes she could, you know, get her lingerie ripped off and shoved against the wall and fucked like a whore, right? She doesn't want to be treated like that princess, right? Maybe at certain points in the day she does, but then when she's alone and she's in that mood, she wants to be treated like a whore. Now, it's only for a specific man, and a specific context and blah, 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 right? But at some point, if you're doing these things right, she's starting to see you as that guy. And if that point is reached, right, you should attempt to move things forward. I mean, even if you don't reach the point, you should at least try, right? Try to kiss her, invite her home, right? Or if like you just met her, right? Talk to her for 5 minutes and then just ask her out. Fuck it. Why not? You're never gonna see her again, so might as well go for it, okay? And if you do manage to get on a date with her, I'm not saying it's easy, I mean, she's a 10 out of 10 for a reason. If you do get on a date with her, try to treat her in your mind as if like she's a 7 out of 10. But show the interest of course, how you sincerely feel, but move as fast as you would with a girl who you consider less valuable, because you're actually going to have better game with the girl you see as less valuable. Because that's how she really actually wants to be treated. Because game, if you think about it, is just, how do I treat this girl in a way that makes her feel comfortable with me, feel sexual with me, and feel connected with me? Because if those variables or those conditions are met, she'll have sex with you. And if she has sex with you, she'll probably have sex with you more than once. And then again and again and again, while at the same time building a connection with you. And then voila, she's in a relationship with you, right? That's how it goes. So if you move fast, that's the actions of the correct mentality of seeing her as a sexual being, right? You already see her as a fucking angel, because it's what we naturally do with something that we really love. So if you combine it with the sexuality in your actions, it might actually turn out to be right, because probably a lot of times in most guys' lives, they've had a really hot girl that liked them, okay? And they fucked it up because they just didn't make a move, because they were idealizing her. So this is just my way of stopping to idealize her. But I'm not just saying something like, don't simp. That's not informative at all, right? These are actionable things that you can actually do, right? That's why there's steps. But of course, they are very large, generalized guidelines. There's so much more involved in it, but this is a pretty good process for getting a 10 out of 10, okay? So it's what she wants. She wants to move fast. I mean, in her idealized mind, she meets the perfect guy at the perfect place, has an amazing connection with him, gets her phone number, he texts her perfectly, it's so smooth, gets on a date with her, makes her feel like no other guy has made her feel, and then, oh wow, he's actually sexual too, well, I'm getting turned on, right? She starts to get wet, she starts to get butterflies in her stomach, and then he invites her. Oh my God, no, guys don't invite me home on the first date. You know, I've never done that before, but I don't know, there's something different about him. Like, that's her ideal scenario, right? And then she has sex with you, and then it's amazing, and then she does it again, and then she ends up marrying you and having kids, right? That's the fucking fantasy. Well, your goal is to make her fantasy a reality. That's what a real seducer does, right? We're not pickup artists, we're seducers. So we're just giving women what they want. And if you give women what they want, they give you what you want. And it's a good fucking trade, okay? So yeah, I was gonna go more on a tangent, but this video is already long enough. So get your 10s with 5 steps. Show high interest, keep it simple, don't show off, don't tease her, minimize mistakes. You don't have to be amazing, just don't fuck up a lot. Move fast and sexualize her. Cool, all right. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. Hector Castillo, girlschase.com. Oh, let me do a product plug, right? If you're still fucking watching, I'm about to sell you a course, right? So I could be paid for all of the knowledge that I have gotten with blood, sweat, and tears, okay? You actually have to meet these girls, right? They're not just gonna show up. You're not gonna get 10s on Tinder. Fucking promise you, you're not gonna get 10s on dating apps. Unless you are physically 10 out of 10 because it's a shallow medium. Don't even fucking try. Dating apps are fine, but you're not gonna get 10 out of 10s because most of them are not even on there. So online dating, fuck that shit. Bars and clubs, that's really hard because then you have them in an environment where they have to kind of put on a show. They're going to be protecting their reputation because they're with their friends. The competition's right there in front of you, so you're going to be immediately compared to all other guys. It's not a great environment. It's pretty stressful and highly competitive, and you know, you can end up getting in fights because there's drunk assholes who see a 10 out of 10 and they're willing to do anything, even get arrested to get pussy because it's probably their strongest drive in existence. Not really worth it, okay? Social circle, I mean, okay, do you have any 10s in your social circles? Have you gotten anywhere with them? Well, something's probably not just gonna magically change, okay? Go ask her out. If she doesn't say yes, then you've already lost, okay? You had your chance, you know, when you first met her and she was kind of forming her opinion about you, and okay, you gotta get a new social circle with 10s in them. So work, well, yeah, fuck that shit, okay? You're gonna get an HR interview very soon. So how do you meet these 10s? How do you actually bring them into your lives to follow this process? It's very simple. You walk out on the street, you know, you go out, you know, on a Friday afternoon, she's getting off work, coming out of her building, and you're walking around and you see her and you walk up and you say, hey, excuse me. Yes, hi. Saw you over here and you're really beautiful, you know, in your mind, like you are fucking gorgeous, right? And you can even say that. And if you say that with a lot of sincerity, it's probably gonna go better because you are showing high interest. You're not hiding it. You're not hiding the banana, and she likes it. And you talk to her for a couple of minutes and you do something that very few other men have the balls to do. Trust me, I try to get a lot of clients to do day game. It's what we call day game. You just walk up to girls in the middle of the day, and most of them are afraid to do it. But the ones who aren't afraid and actually do it, they see results. Sometimes slow because everyone's starting from a different starting point, but they do see results. And yeah, you just met your 10 out of 10 without dating apps, clubs, bars, having her in your friend group. Slowly working your way into her heart years after years of working with her side by side and pining after her, right? You just saw her, you talked to her, you moved fast, you got her phone number, okay? So how do you actually do it? How do you actually tell if a girl is interested in you before you walk up to her? Where should you go? What time? How should you act? What kind of conversation do you have in 3 to 5 minutes to actually get a girl's phone number? Well, I explain that all in my course called Meet Girls Everywhere. It's in the description below, so you just scroll down after you finished liking this video and you click the link, and then we work together remotely, virtually. You see me on a screen, I teach you shit after you gave me money, and then, you know, I can survive and eat food and pay rent and then continue to make more courses to help you get your 10 out of 10, your ideal girl, so you can be happy. Cool? So, me girls everywhere, description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go fuck yourself. I love you. Hector Castillo.